Let's talk to Mel Stride, Shadow Chancellor, and find out what he makes of it all. Mel, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
Very beautiful day down there. It's nice to see the sun shining, but the sun's not shining.
Well, it is. I start.
Go on.
No, I was going to say, when I started, it was from this very spot with another channel, and it was pitch black. And you're my last interview.
Excellent. Well,
but I'm delighted to have my last interview with you.
We saved the best for last, Mel. That's what we do. If only the sun was shining on number 11 Downing Street, the Chancellor of the Exchequer's office, which I fear it may not be this morning, because we're finding out that not only does this plan of hers to build a third runway at Heathrow face all sorts of opposition, including from Sadiq Khan, who's meant to be on her side, but even if it is built, it's not going to happen for about 25 years.
Well, this is the problem, Mike. So look, we've got an immediate problem right now, which is low growth, unemployment rising, the government having whacked up taxes on businesses up and down the country, a lot of people struggling as a consequence of the choices that this government made at the budget. And announcing things much, much further down the line, as you say with Heathrow, there'll be decades in the future, is good, because we should be thinking about those things, absolutely. But they're not actually addressing the fundamental issue, which is what's going to happen this year, next year, the year after, over the next few years, with people's living standards, the economy, jobs. Now, Rachel Reeves had only just sat down when Tesco announced hundreds of jobs losses, and that's joining the other major supermarkets with the same. And Lloyd's announced 136 high street bank branch closures almost immediately after she sat down. That's what's happening in the real world at the moment.
Yeah, and that is the problem as well, because I've already been given a couple of options this morning just from our very, very well-informed listeners. RAF Manston, for example, is a place down in Kent, near Canterbury, often used now for a sort of car park for lorries, or a lorry park for lorries whenever there's a problem with crossing the channel because the French are on strike again. But it's a massive runway. It could be used, as somebody pointed out, for all the cargo. You could direct all the cargo from Heathrow to it, which would increase the capacity for, you know, commercial flights to go in and out of Heathrow. I mean, my worry is that if you try and turn Heathrow into an even bigger site than it is now, there'll be chaos. The roads will be an absolute quagmire. You won't be able to get around the M25. You know, you'll have to knock down a load of houses to build another runway. You know, the whole idea, which has been knocking around for 22 years, is a nonsense, isn't it?
Well, I think we have to accept, Mike, that there is a need now for increased air capacity in the UK, and that Heathrow is unique in being a hub airport and uniquely important in that sense. But what you're absolutely right about is that this has to be a process, and we have to look very closely at the issues you've raised, including noise, pollution, congestion, particularly with the M25 and M4 and so on and so forth. But I think what is interesting at the moment is that, you know, even Sadiq Khan is now threatening legal action against the policy of this government. So Labour really need to sort of get their act together and get a united front on this if they have any chance, even in the longer term, of delivering on this.
Yeah, exactly right. But also, as you say, business confidence in this country is at an all-time low. We've got small businesses talking about not investing anything in the near future because they simply don't have the money, given the national insurance hike that's coming in April. We've got foreign investment at an all-time low. We've got millionaires leaving the country at a rate of knots. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to in the last week who are actually leaving the country, you know, and yet they seem to be sort of focusing on this one thing as if that's going to fix it all, but it won't.
Well, that is the fundamental issue, that it's important to talk about the long term, absolutely. It's important to talk about big infrastructure projects, absolutely right. But that is ducking the key issue here, which is the one that you've raised, which is that right now, businesses up and down the country are not hiring people when they otherwise would have done. They're laying people off as a direct consequence of the decisions that Rachel Reeves took in the budget of putting up taxes. We've got this employment rights bill as well, which there have been estimates that could cost businesses £5 billion. You know, I mean, what is this government doing? And what we've got to have is Rachel Reeves now getting serious about this, coming to the House of Commons on the 26th of March when she'll deliver her spring statement and explaining to us, fine, we've got all these ideas and announcements about infrastructure in decades to come, but what is the plan to get the economy growing over the next few years, and that's what's missing.
And is it fair to say, as people have been saying this morning, that we haven't had any growth in this country for years? If that is true, what did the Conservatives do about it?
Well, actually, our inheritance, Mike, was that when this government took over, we had the fastest growing economy in the G7.
Right.
We had a near record level of employment. We had near record low unemployment. You know, we had real wages that have been growing for 13 consecutive months, and we brought inflation down from over 11% because of the Ukraine war down to bang on its target of 2% on the day of the general election. Now, that is the inheritance that this government in 6 short months has completely trashed.
No, indeed. That's what I thought. That's why I was wondering why people were saying it. Mel, thanks very much indeed for talking to us. Mel Stride, the Shadow Chancellor.